Chris Lynch Local News with Boxman, Christchurch's flexible self-storage solution. Convenient door-to-door container delivery. Boxman, affordable storage at your place or ours.
So to discuss whether or not it's appropriate to be giving fast food to youth offenders at this facility near Christchurch, I'm joined by ACT Party leader David Seymour from the car park of the airport. David, thanks so much for joining me. How are you?
Hey, I'm well, thanks. Thanks for fitting us in.
You're most welcome. How appropriate is it for Oranga Tamariki staff to be rewarding youth offenders by feeding them, well, my source says McDonald's, another news report says KFC, regardless it's fast food. Is that appropriate?
It's totally inappropriate. Just remember, these kids had broken the wrist of somebody working at the facility during their escape. They had broken a lot of taxpayer-funded property. They'd broken the rules of the institution. They should be punished for that. Instead, they've been rewarded. And this is the sign of a country that is in decline. Countries decline when they lose their values. And the values that most people subscribe to, values you could have explained to a 4-year-old. If you do everything right, if you follow the rules, if you're kind to others, you'll be safe, no one will hurt you. But if you break the rules, if you harm others, you'll face consequences that will make you wish you hadn't. Now, I can explain that to a 4-year-old, but Chris Hipkins, Stuart Nash, Poto Williams, Ginny Anderson, Chris Hipkins, whoever the police minister is right now, I guarantee you that Labour minister doesn't understand those basic values. And when you say your reward for breaking a wrist of someone that work in the workplace is actually you get given a treat, well, that's just the end. I mean, if those are the values of New Zealand, we're finished.
I've communicated with a staff member who works at this facility, and we won't name them because they want to obviously keep their jobs. They told me that their safety is at risk because of management authorising the use of allowing these offenders to have likes of McDonald's, vape products and cigarettes because these use becoming more and more brazen. I thought this was a facility where it's supposed to be a punitive measure because these kids have actually committed rather serious crimes. So, and then you've got Oranga Tamariki management telling me the reason why they caved into their demands was because safety was the major concern about these youths. They were actually concerned that they might fall off the roof. So does Oranga Tamariki management have a point there in your view?
Well, I'll give them one thing, and that is that they are operating under the Health and Safety at Work Act. And that means that they're a person conducting a business undertaking. So, those people operating that facility will have real obligations and face real penalties themselves for endangering the safety of the youth. So I accept that is the law right now, and that may well be true. But here's the alternate way you look at it. Oranga Tamariki shouldn't be responsible for these people. ACT has said in our fully costed alternative budget that we would transfer the incarceration of serious youth offenders away from Oranga Tamariki, which is supposed to be a caring organisation, and create a youth wing of corrections, because the job of corrections is to incarcerate, to punish and to rehabilitate offenders. That's where they should have been. They should have been under the control of corrections in the specially created facilities that ACT would fund. Because ultimately, if there's no consequence for youth offenders that they fear, then they will not listen to any other sanction. Why not keep offending? Why not assault an Oranga Tamariki worker? Why not break any other rule that's in front of you if you know that the police and the courts and corrections ultimately can't or won't touch you? We need to be able to say to these kids, if you offend and if you re-offend, you will be punished. You'll be put in a place, you won't have your phone, you won't have much fun, and you'll wish you hadn't done it, and that will be run by corrections. If you do that, they might listen to some of the other things that the police tell them before they escalate their offending. But right now, they know they're untouchable, and they can even get away with breaking somebody's wrist, which is a very painful thing to happen to somebody, absolutely wrong. But guess what? You get KFC or McDonald's. We're still trying to find out the details.
So how do we change this well, it could be a perception. How do we change the perception for young people that actually crime doesn't pay? Because at the moment we have got a situation, I've spoke to several police officers here in Christchurch, David, who said they've picked up teenagers from ram raids, they've sent them home, they've then sent them straight to this youth justice facility, only for the youth justice facility to say they're full, and they go back to their parents, and then they commit another crime the next day. Now, that's actually been confirmed. That was a case that happened in Christchurch 2 weeks ago. So these kids know they can get away with it. So how do we change that so they know that they actually can't? Because they can.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm not surprised at all by that story. That's a common complaint from youth aid police officers. They say, we're just playing tag and release. We take them to a facility, they either escape or get let out, and then we have to go and find them, and they're back committing another crime before we even finish our paperwork. So, police are very frustrated by this. And the answer, again, is to actually have the capacity. So, we've said that we'd fund 200 secure beds. And if you talk to police, they'll say there's actually only a couple of hundred kids doing this. You need to incarcerate them and send a message to all the others they don't want to go there. At the moment, the government's not doing that. I'll just make another point about the values of the country. Where is the Deputy Prime Minister? Where is the Minister of Justice saying this is not acceptable in New Zealand? I mean, I remember the leadership that Jacinda Ardern said in the wake of the tragedy in Christchurch, notwithstanding some of what happened later. In the first few days, she was absolutely on point. This is not us. You chose us. We utterly reject you. Where is the government leadership on these youth criminals saying your behaviour is unacceptable? We've seen it from Labor once, but for the most part, the leadership from government right now is, oh, well, they had a tough time and maybe it's okay. It's not okay for all those victims. Those people just trying to run a dairy or a convenience store or a jewellery store, even just someone trying to park their car outside their house getting the window smashed, totally unacceptable. We need to start putting those people in the frame as the victims as much as we put the criminals in the frame. At the moment, the government seems to be confused between victims and criminals.
All right, we'll leave it there. ACT Party leader David Seymour, thank you so much for joining me at short notice. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.